what an exciting time to create a world inside that's not filled with pain. I come to you now to have some fun, to share with you, that the parts inside of me are coming to a beautiful dance, the dance of joy. And for the longest time, I have a story I want to talk about when it comes to like the twin flame journey. And so for the longest time, when I was a little girl, I always imagined I had this twin flame, this person that was going to be my everything. And as I got older, I looked for it a lot in others. I would first try to identify it by looking towards their heart. And I would look to see their heart. And even if the outside didn't have, I forgot to trust the story of the outside. And I would go towards the story of what I saw in the heart, which was reflection. Now, at the time, I did not know that what was in the heart really needed to be aligned with the actions. So for a very long time, I would go in, I would see someone's heart, I would fall in love with this aspect of themselves through me. The story now I understand is that I'm seeing my heart and projecting it onto others. And I was projecting onto others a need. And this need could never be fulfilled. And the universe was talking to me so many times. And the way that I would end up hearing it is at the very end of how you end something. And you're like, this is not my reflection. And this has gone on for a really long time. And I was like, oh, how do you get off that Groundhog Day, right? That's a Groundhog Day and a half. And now in this new awareness, I can see all of it. And they always say once you discover the paradox, right, you can stop being in the pain about it and kind of giggle about it, because you're like, oh my God, it was just me reverberating me in love. And the coup de grace came a few weeks ago when I still had inside of me this desire that someone is going to come save me. Someone is not going to create pain. And I'm not going to have to shame the person in front of me, which is just me shaming myself. At the time, I didn't know that. I just knew that when I rejected that which stood in front of me, I felt so bad for so many reasons. And even when they rejected me as I stood before them, it also felt so bad. So neither one felt good, right? So you're hitting up against these learning lessons and they don't feel good. They actually feel, I can laugh at it now, horrible, just put you in your bed and cry. And I would live in that shame way after the relationship was far gone outside of my stratosphere. And I would think, what could I have done better? The shame was, what could I have done better? What could I have, perhaps it was me. How can I have seen something so wonderful in them and then not experience that? So there was a lot of like push, pull. And my coup de grace, as I was starting to say, came a few weeks ago when all the elements of this little girl's wish came together. And someone was like, God sent me to you. And I looked outside myself and I could see a beautiful heart. And then if they had come a week prior, I would have been like, oh my God, this is my story. But I was a week later. And a week later in this quantum jumps within self is like a week too late, right? But a week never is too late, but it's kind of like a week too late. But it was a week perfect. That's the way I'm going to say now. Week perfect of knowing how to identify that it was part of a story. And the story had been going on so long that if it had happened a week prior to me understanding a deeper dive into my story and how I kept recreating the same story in my secondary positioning, I would have assumed that that story was me, and I would have played out the part that I always play out, which is to leave. And also, I would have thought I had gotten somewhere outside of myself, and that somewhere would have been outside of myself. So the whole entire time, I have been in this journey of love trying to get outside of myself. Well, what does that say about the self, right? And as a woman, then I have the layer piece of like, save me. I need someone to save me. So now I've got outside of myself as a complete storyline, and save me. So if you showed me any form of kindness, I would just assume until I stopped seeing that you were not going to save me, that that your intentions are self-serving. Before I could see all those, I would think that I had, with my brain, accomplished some journey that I was always intended to accomplish, but it would have been a false accomplishment, because I would have still been saying to myself that inside me doesn't feel like love, and somewhere outside of me will always be greater, safer, and more important. So I laugh because I go, oh my gosh, I held on to that for a long time. And even all of these readers, right? Like you go online and you can like hear about all the readers, and they're like, love is just right around the corner, and it goes on, and it's creating an old program system of desiring something outside of self, when self is what is really creating the outside, and what we're creating inside self should be revered and honored and loved and excited. And that's where I'm at now, which is where the giggle comes at, that I'm inside of self, like singing love songs, because I love songs that have to do with like this alignment of how we speak to one another, how we support one another, and how we experience one another. But really, the experience is within me. And that feels good. Gives you a chance to just like stop the merry-go-round, stop the Groundhog Day, and just sit in that truth. And I know that I'm speaking my truth because everything in front of me right now is blurred. It's like the person I see is molecules, so they're shifting. And I'm learning about this divine self by going inside, and then the outside is either showing me something I'm still tweaking, or something I have just now created within. And that to me is love. And the person that shows up in my secondary reality has to first show up in my primary reality as my reflection. So that's happening. Inside of me is my reflection. It just was a misunderstanding of the information we're given as human beings. The human being doesn't yet understand multidimensional realities within self. It thinks that the outside world is the reality, the true reality, and the inside world is the crazy spot. As long as you continue to think that, then you're going to have to live a secondary life. But if you're watching this, we want to live a primary life, which is that it's what we feel inside that creates a reflection of a man or woman, right? That honors and nurtures and reflects back, give and take, because that would be a reflection of balance, right? I'm just glad to be sharing this with you. Pieces, parts, some, a little bit, none, may or may not. Ring is true right now. And that's okay too. You can stand before you right now and say, I am not broken. I am whole. I am not searching for love. I am love. And because I know that I am love, everything in my secondary world will experience that to whatever degree they can experience that. I cannot search for my other half because my other half is already with me inside, showing me how much I already am seen and loved. And that is what my secondary world reflects. And if it doesn't reflect that, or if I stand before someone in the mirror that is reflecting something other than that, then it's an opportunity for me to go back to me to see what part it is reflecting. Because I love myself that much to want everything lined up in beauty and love, reflections of love, support, kindness. I don't want to just be in love with one man and we're in love fighting against the entire world. I want us to be creating the world in which we see together in perfect harmony, in beautiful abundance. In magic that can only be found in dreams, the ones we dream up inside primary. Supporting and growing that within each other and within ourselves. Excuse me, let's flip that, reverse it. In primary, where we are creating that, and we're meeting up in secondary to have fun with it. I feel like the reason why I'm doing this video now is this is the timeline I'm on. And I thought it would be fun to see how many reflections are playing on this timeline. My want is that everything inside my world plays here. The mailman, the bird, the trees, which by the way are playing right here. Let's see if I can flip it. Nope, I don't think I can. I have a tree. I'm gonna flip it. Who's playing in that? Right? And I want my entire world in perfect harmony, in perfect love, in perfect joy, in perfect amazingness. For you to feel and experience abundance, prosperity. In the children I come across, in the animals. Some might say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Thank you for listening. Thank you for letting me be your reflection. I don't know about you, but it feels pretty amazing to me, and I'm so grateful.